Good afternoon. The shir today is sponsored by Mickey Sunshine in memory of her husband, Herbert B. Sunshine, Sidav Ben Chaim Pesach, Leila Nishmato. It's been 5 years since we lost our beloved Herb, and today's topic is why we pray at the grave of a Tzadik. Herb Sunshine really was a Tzadik. His love for Eretz Yisrael, Torah's Yisrael, and Am Yisrael was legendary. And we all miss him. Can't believe it's been 5 years. The shir is Eila Nishmat Tzvi Dov Ben Chaim Pesach. In Lavla Ben Chaim L'Chaim, it's also an anniversary of Tuvi and Ayala Has. Happy anniversary. Okay. So today's shir is why pray at the grave of a tzaddik. In Parshas Shoftim, there's a mitzvah in the Torah, Shlo Yidrash El HaMeitim. What does that mean? Not to inquire of the dead. Parshas Shoftim. So the Chinuch explains, there's a law in the Torah not to go to a cemetery and to ask the dead for favors. It's a law in the Torah contained in Parshas Shoftim. You're not allowed to do that. And if a person does that, he's chayiv malchus. What about Shaul HaMelech? Didn't Shaul HaMelech inquire of the dead? He went to the witch of Endor to raise up the spirit of the dead Shmuel HaNavi. How could he do that? And Saul was an Orthodox king, right? So the Farshim wonder about that. And they said, the answer is as follows. Shaul HaMelech had a dilemma, whether he should send the IDF to attack the guerrillas, the terrorists, or wait for them to attack first. So the inyan of Bekuach Nefesh, God was not answering him, the Urim and Tumim was not answering him. So inyan of Bekuach Nefesh, to commit the IDF soldiers to attack or wait for defensive action. When it comes to Bekuach Nefesh, Doiche Kol HaTorah Kula, except the 3 cardinal sins. And acquiring the dead is not one of the 3 cardinal sins. So therefore, if your life is in danger, to protect the lives of IDF soldiers, to commit the troops or not, Shaul was permitted to inquire of the dead, just like if your life is in danger, you're allowed to eat on Yom Kippur. There are only 3 sins you can't do to save a life. Right? Avodah Zarah, Gilead Ayat, Shrichas Damim, right? But besides that, your life is in danger, you can transgress the Torah, including what? Inquiring of the dead. But other than that, you're not allowed to inquire of the dead. There's a law in the Torah. So why do we go to the grave of a tzaddik to pray? Who are we praying to? Hashem. So why don't you stay home and pray to Hashem?
In the memory of a person that passed away.
So let's see. In Parshas Vayechi that we're reading this week, Yaakov calls Yosef, he says, Al no tidbereinu b'Mitzrayim. Please do not bury me in Egypt. This week's parasha. So Rashi gives a few reasons. Why was Yaakov so concerned not to be buried in Mitzrayim? So Rashi gives 3 reasons. And his final reason is, Shalayasuni Mitzrayim avodah zarah. He was concerned that if his body remains there, the Mitzrayim would come to his grave and what? And daven, and make him an avodah zarah. So therefore, he didn't want to be buried in Egypt. This reads Pasha. Because it's tsar for the neshama to make the body a getchka, to deify the body is terrible anguish for the neshama. Yaakov didn't want that, so therefore he begged Joseph not to bury him, take him out of Egypt, not to make me an avodah zarah. It causes anguish to the neshama. So before we are going to investigate why or what we're doing at the grave of a tzaddik, the question is, how does one become a tzaddik? How does one become a tzaddik like Herb Sunshine? How? In the parsha that we read the parsha that we read yesterday, Yaakov says to Paroi, Paro asked him, how old are you? Yaakov says to Paroi, Yemei Shnei Chayai, 130. He keeps repeating, Yemei Shnei Chayai. Avram, isn't that redundant? The days of the years of my life is 130. He should have said either the days of my life is 130, after Paro asked him how old you are. How old are you now? So he says, Yemei Shnei Chayai. Twice he says it. The days of the years of my life is 130. Either say the days of my life is 130, or the years of my life is 130. The language seems to be redundant. What's Yemei Shnei Chayai? The days and years of Yaakov. It says the same thing by Avram Avinu. The Eile Yemei Shnei Chaya Avraham. Pashas Chayasaurus are the same thing. These are the days and the years of the life of Abraham, 175. Again, Yemei Shnei Chayai seems to be redundant. Say years or say days. Aren't you repeating the same thing in different language? And we know the Torah is very economical. There isn't even one extra letter. So what's the message between Yemei and Shnei, and why repeat it? People speak about Arichat Yamim and Arichat Shanim. Right? What does Arichat Shanim mean? Long years. What does Arichat Yamim mean? Long days. So people think it's synonyms. But we know in Hebrew there are no synonyms. What's the difference between Arichat Yamim and Arichat Shanim? Arichat Shanim is the quantity of life. The quantity of life, how long a person will live, that's up to Hashem. Right? Every Rosh Hashanah, God writes down who will live and who will die. So Arichat Shanim is God's department. The quantity of life is up to Hashem. Arichat Yamim, the quality of life, that's up to me, for us. It's not redundant. Yemei Shnei Chayai. Years and days. The quantity of life, the years, is up to Hashem. But what I do with my days, the quality of life, how do I spend my days? On the stupid dumb phone? Or in Avodas Hashem? That's not up to Hashem. That's up to me. Wow. It's Arichat Yamim. The quality of life, that's my department. So Yaakov was saying, Yemei Shnei Chayai, the days and the years of my life, they lined up. Because all the years that God gave me, every day I accomplished. I grew. I progressed. It's not redundant. And same thing by Avraham Avinu. Yemei Shnei Chayai. Every day of Abraham and Yaakov's life, they stretched that day to the limit. Arichat Yamim. To fill up your days with what? With mitzvahs and ma'asim tovim. Do something good today. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. So Arichat Yamim and Arichat Shanim are two separate issues. Arichat Shanim is up to God. Arichat Yamim is up to me to stretch my days, to make every day count. And not to spend it on, how do you say narishkeit in English? Narishkeit. Foolishness, thank you. And therefore the Torah says in Parshas Vayera, V'Avraham v'Sara zikenim boyim bayamim. Abraham and Sarah were old. They came with all of their days intact. Say the same thing about Herbert Sunshine, Tzidab and Chaim Pesach. Even though he was on in years, every day he accomplished. Every day he progressed spiritually and he grew. Boyim bayamim. He came to old age. He came to Olam Haba. Herb Sunshine did with all of his days intact. Every day was stretched to the limit. Arichat Yamim. Jam-packed with mitzvahs. What can I do for Klal Yisrael? How can I help Am Yisrael? How can I help the state of Israel? What more can I do for Torah? For him, for Herb Sunshine, it was something that was so important. He lived for others. I know from personal experience. He lived for others. So he came, Boyim Bayamim. He came with all of his days intact, to Olam Haba. He made the most of his days. Now, why pray at the grave of a tzaddik? So let's take a look at the source sheets. Side number 1, source number 1. Where is the source of praying at the grave of a tzaddik? Where does it come from? Side 1, source number 1. It's from the Gemara in Sota. It says, Vayalu ba'negev vayovayat Chevron. The Meraglim went up and he came to Chevron. Source 1:1. You have it, Avram? They went up and he came to Chevron. It should have said Vayavo. All the Meraglim went to Hebron. How come it switches from the plural to what? To the singular? Why? So the Talmud points out it was Kalei ben Yefuna. Source number 1, he broke away from the pack and he came, he went to daven. The source for davening at the grave of a tzaddik, Gemara Saita says, is Kalei ben Yefuna. Vayovayat Hebron, he came to Hebron. He went to the Marta Machpelah to be mispalel. What was he mispalel for? He said to them. He said to whom? Avram, who did he say to? Avotai, my beloved, my departed parents. Look what he said. Bikshu alai rachamim, please daven for me, Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, shenetzal matzas maraglim, that I shouldn't fall in with what? With the maraglim. The pressure was so great, Ira. To join the maraglim, they pressured him, because here in the Midbar, you are a nasi. You have your own Volvo, a driver, and an office. You come to Pisgat Zev, forget it. You become a regular what? No more nasi. You lose your office, you lose your driver, you lose, right? So tremendous pressure. So he went to the Marsa Mapela to daven, and the Gemara says here, it's underlying the source 1:1, Omelet Avotai. He's speaking to the dead Avot. Well, what, are they in the grave? Aren't the dead Avot in where? In Gan Eden. Omelet Avotai, Bikshu alai rachamim, please daven for me. He wasn't davening for the dead Avos to help him. He said, you have God's ear. You're an Olam Haba. So your tefillahs are more powerful. You please, my departed Avot, please beg God that I should have the willpower to what? Withstand the pressure of the Meraglim. So this is the source of what? Of going to the grave of a tzaddik and not praying for the dead tzaddik to help you, right? Because Ani Mammon Muna Shalema, one of the Ani Mammons is that you're only allowed to daven to Hashem. Ani Mammon, right? But you can go to a tzaddik, you can ask the tzaddik to pray for you. Just like when a tzaddik is alive, you can ask a tzaddik to pray for you. You give a tzaddik a kvittel, Avram, no? Or you give a kvittel to daven for you. So when a tzaddik is dead, tzaddikim asosim chayim, a tzaddik, when he's dead, he's more alive than ever because he's freed from his bodysuit. Therefore, a dead person in Hebrew is called a niftar. Ira, what does a niftar mean? Please release me. Free, released. So a tzaddik, after he's released from his bodysuit, is even greater, more kadosh. So if you can go to a live tzaddik and ask the live tzaddik to daven for you, he can't do nothing for you. He can daven for you because he has God's ear. So when he's in Olam Haba, he's closer to God's ear. So that you're allowed to do. Avotai, bikshu alai rachamim, my departed parents, please you daven for me. You can't help me. Only God can help me. But you are much closer to God than I am. You have a box seat in Olam Haba. And therefore your prayers are what? More effective. And that's what Kalev taught us to do. That's what Kalev taught. That's Gemara source 1:1. Source number 2. Side 1, source number 2. The Gemara in Tanya says, Lama Yotzlam Bet HaKvarot, why do we go to daven at the cemetery? The Gemara asked that question. In source number 2, Masechta Tanit, you have it, Avram? Lama Yotzil Bet HaKvarot, why do you go to the cemetery to daven? Why? Pligibor, Rav Levi, Bar Chama, Rav Chanina. The two Amoraim, they disagree on what is the purpose of going to daven at a cemetery. Chad Amar, Vayonu Chashuv L'Fanecha Kemeitim. One is, when you go to a cemetery, what do you say? There, but for the grace of God, go I. It makes you think of your mortality, and it's a stigma, a stimuli for what? For tshuva. So that's one man, the Yoma says, you go to a cemetery to daven, you're not davening to the dead person. It's a reminder that what? That life is so short, life is so fleeting, and therefore we better get our act together before it's too late. And the other one says, what does the other one say? The other one says, like Kalei ben Yefuna, that the dead person should what? He should intercede with God because he has God's ear, because he's closer. And his prayers are much what? more powerful because he's closer to Hashem. So if you can go to a living tzaddik, you can also go to a dead tzaddik. Again, the tzaddik cannot help you, but he can intercede for you and daven for you. Okay, so that's what the Gemara is saying over here. Now, if you look at source number 3, Masechta Sotah, source number 3, Masechta Sotah, where's Moshe Rabbeinu buried? Right? Heichen Moshe Kavur. So the Gemara says over here, if you stand on top, you think the what? The kever is lamata. You stand lamata, you think the kever is what? Lamala. It's impossible, like it's an optical illusion, Avram, where Moshe Rabbeinu was buried. Why is that? It says, nobody knows what? Moshe Rabbeinu's burial place. Nobody knows. Why does nobody know? Says the Gemara here in source number 3. Because if people would know, there would be a danger that would make the grave what? A shrine, a deity. Right? And it's against the Torah to what? To pray to a dead person, or to ask a dead person for anything. It's a law in the Torah and Parashat Shoftim. And therefore, the Meshech Chochmah says something incredible. How come Moshe Rabbeinu was not allowed to go to Eretz Yisrael? There are many ways God could have punished him. He could have lost money in the stock market. He could have slipped in the bathtub. Why dafke did God keep him out of Pisgat Zev? Rechavia. And even after he was dead, at least let his body come to Pisgat Zev. No. Said the Meshech Chochmah something incredible. This is just amazing. Meshech Chochmah passed away in 1926. He said as follows. God knew if Moshe Rabbeinu was allowed to come to Eretz Yisrael, Judaism would become the cult of Moshe. Judaism would become the cult of Moshe. Moshe said this, Moshe said that, the Rebbe said this, the Rebbe said that. Judaism is a God-centered religion, not a person-centered religion, not even Moshe Rabbeinu. So therefore God kept him out, dead or alive. Because they would deify him when he was alive, and certainly they might deify him when he was dead. And therefore God could not allow that, so Moshe was not allowed to come to Eretz Yisrael either way, because Judaism would become a cult of Moshe Rabbeinu. Judaism is supposed to be a God-centered religion, says the Meshech Chochmah, and not a people-centered religion. You can speak to a chassid for 2 hours, he'll say the Rebbe said this, and the Rebbe said that, the Rebbe said this, the Rebbe said that. You can speak to a chassid for hours, hello? What about the Rebbe of all Rebbes? Remember me? The Rebbe this, the Rebbe that, you know. That the Meshech Chochmah, that's not me talking, okay? And therefore Moshe Rabbeinu was not allowed to come to Eretz Yisrael, not even dead or alive.
That's what Jacob was afraid of in this week's parsha.
We just said that, right? That's why he told Yosef, please don't bury me in Egypt and make me a getshech, chas v'sholom, which is terrible anguish for the neshama that they worship the body. It causes tremendous agony and anguish in Olam Haba for the soul. Let's go to what? What about what?
What about
Yeah, what about him? No. Moshe Rabbeinu. Rachmiel is asking a bomb kasha. Rachmiel hit a home run. You hear, Mickey, what he's asking? How come there's no danger that Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov become deified? Rachmiel, great question. How come God allowed Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov to be buried here? How come there's no danger that what? That we would deify them, only Moshe Rabbeinu? Rachmiel, that's a great question. How come I didn't think of that? Why is there no danger they might deify Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov? That didn't concern God. Why dafke Moshe Rabbeinu? Rachmiel, good question. The answer is that Moshe Rabbeinu, God saw, when Moshe was gone on the mountain 40 days, they thought that he's not coming back. The Jews lost it all. They lost it. They went ballistic. So they were so attached to Moshe Rabbeinu. They didn't know the others personally. There was no danger of deifying the others, but Moshe Rabbeinu was like their father and their mother, and in the eyes of the Jewish people, he became almost a godlike figure. So therefore God says, I can't take a chance. That was not the case with Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, because the Jewish people didn't know them personally. But there was a danger about Moshe Rabbeinu, how the Jews went ballistic when he was 10 minutes late. Right? They lost it. So God saw how attached they were, and there was a real danger if he was allowed to come here, dead or alive, he would become chas v'sholem a deity. Let's go to side number 2. Source number 4. This is the Chayodam Hilchas Rosh Hashanah. Side number 2, source number 4. Erev Rosh Hashanah, Yom Achla Min Hashanah. The Chayodam says Erev Rosh Hashanah is the last day of the year. Erev Rosh Hashanah, Kibul Chazal, Shekol Oiseh Tshuva. You do Tshuva Erev Rosh Hashanah, it's like you did Tshuva what? The whole year. What a bargain. Chava, Jews love bargains. Chayodam says you do Tshuva Erev Rosh Hashanah, it's like you did Tshuva what? Buy one, get 365.
People go to shul on Yom Kippur.
Rav Yaakov, you just look at the Vilda Metzia, Rav Yaakov. No, this year is thanks to Rav Yaakov, right? So Vilda Metzia. People have a minak to fast Erev Rosh Hashanah, say slichus. V'yesh nohagin od, Avram, it's underline, you have it? V'yesh nohagin od, leilech. Leilech, what's the next word? Ala kvorot. There's a minhag Erev Rosh Hashanah to what? To go to a cemetery. Person that has a nocturnal emission shouldn't go to a cemetery. Why is that? Because then it's all Kabbalistic, the Chatzonim, these, you know. The Gam lo yelech al kivre v'shoyim. Don't go to the grave of a Rasha. If you're hot, you can open a window. You can open a window if you don't mind. The Gam lo yelech al kivre v'shoyim. You shouldn't go to the grave of a Rasha. You can open the window if you want. Why? Kehema mazikin. Because, thank you, because there's a lot of, what does mazikin mean, Avram? Demons. Demons hang around the grave of a Rishayim. Be very careful when you're davening. Don't daven that the dead person should help you. Because Chanoch, that is what? That's idolatry. Chas v'sholom. Only God can help me. You're davening that the dead person has God's ear. He should daven for you. He can't help you. Intercede. You can go to a live tzaddik to daven for you. You can go to a dead tzaddik. He's closer to God. But to ask the tzaddik to help you, be very careful. Don't do that, because that chas v'sholom borders on what? On avodah zarah. And therefore God could not allow Moshe Rabbeinu to what? To be buried here. And many people go to graves of tzaddikim. I hope they don't cross that red line where they say, the dead tzaddik, please help me. God help that person that says that. That's bordering on chas v'sholom avodah zarah. The tzaddik cannot help you. He can only daven for you. Only God can help us. Look at source number 5. Look at source number 5, the Ben Ish Chai. You have that, Avram? The source number 5, the Ben Ish Chai. V'nogim leilech be'erev Rosh Hashanah ala kvorot. There's a minhag erev Rosh Hashanah to go to the graves, v'lomel bakoshat sham, and to request. Request whom? Request of whom? The dead guy? Don't address your request to the dead people. Chas v'sholom. That's the wrong religion, Danny. That's the wrong religion. El yispalel Hashem yisbarach. You are davening to God. Sheyitel lanu rachamim. God, you give me mercy in the schus of that tzaddik that's buried over here. V'yochel ishtatech al kevet tzaddik. You're allowed to spread yourself on the grave of a tzaddik. V'yoymar, and say, Hareini mevakesh menefesh ha-tzaddik. This you're allowed to do. I am requesting that the soul of the tzaddik hakovrapol that's buried over here, she's followed a lie, not that the tzaddik can help me, but the tzaddik again, Chava has God's ear. Right? Reunited, and it feels so good. Already mevakesh menefesh ha-tzaddik, I'm source number 5. Dr. Hackett, you have a sheet? You have a paper? Let me just finish. Hakovrapol, I asked the soul of the tzaddik that's buried here that the tzaddik should daven for me, for God. That God can grant me. Not the tzaddik, but again, the tzaddik is closer to God than I am. So don't cross that red line. Chas v'shalom, Don't cross that red line into Chas v'Sholem Avodah Zarah. Yes, Dr. Hackett.
That reason about not crossing the red line, the Gra is very against visiting the Keplei Tzadikim.
The Gra.
The Gra.
Right. And so was the Rambam. The Rambam was also against it because, again, he was afraid many people would get, how do you say famished, Rabbi Yaakov in English? In Italian, how do you say famished? Famished, cuckoo. They get mixed up and never cross the red line. So therefore, better stay away altogether. But a person that knows that the dead tzaddik can't help him, he can go and daven. The schus of the neshama, or the neshama should intercede because you have God's ear. Source number 6. Avram, you have source number 6? Hilchas Rosh Hashanah. This is the Ramah. See source number 6? V'yesh nagin litbol be'erev Rosh Hashanah. V'yesh makamot. Source number 6. Yehuda. Nagin leilech al akvorot. So minag and erev Rosh Hashanah to go to the grave of a tzaddik. So we can go to Herb Sunshine's grave. So Zechel Tzaddik Avroch on erev Rosh Hashanah. L'habasham betchinois. Menoisim sham tzadaka la'aniyim. In the schus of the tzaddik that's buried there, Hashem should God grant what we want. But again, the only one that can help us, Avram, is what? Is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, if you look at the Be'er Heitev in source number 6, Hakvorot. You see the Be'er Heitev, source number 6, footnote Yud Zayin. The Bet Hakvorot, Mokoim Menuchas HaTzadikim. Where the tzaddikim are buried, mokoim kodesh v'tohor. You hear this? Where a tzaddik is buried, that place is what? Holy. V'atfila and kabla yoter, and davening there, your tefillah to God is accepted what? So this is the key that Be'er Heitev says, when you're davening at the grave of a tzaddik, your tefillah is more readily acceptable because that's a mokoim kodosh. Wow. What?
Put the Beit Knesset on the Mount of Olives.
Then a Kohen can't go down.
That's right. A Kohen can't go there, right? You see that Malka is a finger pointing. You see that? Source number 6, Be'er Heitev. Is there a finger there by you? Is a pointing finger?
Yeah.
In Be'er Heitev, there's a finger pointing, right?
Oh,
This way you don't get lost. That's my finger. You recognize my finger there, Ayala?
You got it in the Mechonat Tzilum.
You see that? Beryl, you see my finger? Oh, Mavispalel, Al Kivrei Tzadikim, when you go down in the grave of the Tzadik, be very careful. Al Yosef and Moshe Nega, be very careful. Do not address your request to what? To the dead Tzadik. Because that's borderline Chas v'Sholem Avodah Zarah. Ach, you see, Ach, it's underlined. Yevakesh Hashem Yisbarach. You're requesting from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Sheyiten olav rachamim, that God should grant me compassion and mercy, b'schut ha-tzadikim shochnei ovar, in the schus of the tzaddik buried over there. And there's a Kabbalistic meaning, v'yakiv hakvorot. Yehuda, you know this? The Kabbalistic meaning that you circle the grave. You go to the cave of a tzaddik, the Kabbalistic meaning to circle the grave, v'yitain tzedakah. And you also give tzedakah there. Okay? Now look at source number 7, the Mishnah Brura. See source number 7, Mishnah Brura? Hakvorot. Source 7, footnote Chav Zayin, Mishnah Brura. Have it, Yehuda? Hakvorot. The Bet Hakvorot, hu makom menuchas hatzadikim, the place where the tzadikim, their bodies rest. V'atfila neskabla sham yoter, and their prayers, our prayers, are more easily acceptable there. Again, he says, Ach al yosim agmosay neged amesim. Again and again, they keep repeating it. Make sure you don't address your request to what? To the dead person. Ach, but yivakesh ma'ashem yisbarach, but you're asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu, sheyiten olav rachamim, that God should grant you compassion, b'schus ha-tzadikim, in the schus of the tzaddik, shochnei offer, that's what? That's resting there. Again, the yakiv hakvorot. There's a Kabbalistic meaning, when you go to the grave of a tzaddik, you circle the grave. V'yitain tzedakah, v'ein leilech al kever echad, shtei pam v'yem echad. Did you know this? According to Kabbalah, a person should not visit the same grave of a tzaddik twice in one day. I don't know why. Ve'ein leilech al kever echad, shtei pomim b'yoyim echad. Malka, you know why? Give the tzaddik a breather, right? Marava, leave him alone, what? Ve'ein leilech al kever echad, don't go to the grave of the one tzaddik twice in the same day. Okay, I don't know why. What? What? You don't want to bother him too much, what?
Other people coming and he has to play all the messages of all the people.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So the best places
I
to
think
go
it's
should
for
be
the
the
same reason.
That what?
It's for the
Same reason.
If you visit
Too much.
Saint Tzadik too much is as if, even though you're saying intercede, but
You
you're
might
not
cross,
too much
Malka's
on that
saying
side.
very good, you might cross the red line. You might cross the red line, chas v'sholom, right? Some people get famished. How do you say famished in English?
Confused, mixed
Right?
up.
And they might think that the dead tzaddik can help them. Chas v'sholom. Look at source number 8. Source number 8. My Rebbe Rapam, Zechat Tzaddik Rocha, would say something. Chavi, you got to hear this. He says, people come from Chutz La'aretz. He was speaking about New York. They spend thousands of dollars on airplane tickets and hotels to come to the graves of their parents at Har Menochot. They come for a couple of days, thousands of dollars in plane fare, in hotels. He said, believe me, the tzaddik said, if you would donate that money for tzedakah and stay home in New York, it would be a greater tainik for the neshama. The neshama is not in the grave. But people don't listen to me, so I stopped saying it, he said. People come for a few days, thousands of dollars on airplane tickets before JetBlue, he was talking. Cost thousands.
Wizz Airline.
Right? Before Wizz, and a hotel. He said, if you stay home and donate that sum, Ira, to tzedakah, believe me, your parents and all of Abba will have a greater, how do you say fargenugin in English? Fargenugin. Fargenugin. Pleasure. Right? Enjoyment. Because your parent is not in the grave. Right? He's an Olam Haba. But that's what he said.
Rabbi,
Yes?
what about all the people, thousands of people that go to the grave, like in Uman?
Uman,
Just
right.
thinking that.
Okay?
So what happens, I mean, here, the neshama is inundated with thousands
Of requests, right? Give the guy a break. What?
Right.
But the Rebbe asked for that. That's the problem.
Yeah, Rav Nachman said
Requested.
before he died, anyone that comes to my grave on Rosh Hashanah, I'll pull them out of Gehenna by their payas. Tzadik goes there, Kudish Baruch Hu Mekayim, right? So people, they don't want to go to Gehenna, and the rabbi was maftiach. How do you say maftiach? He promised, if you come to my grave on Rosh Hashanah, I'll schlep you out of Gehenna by your payas. So you have to have payas first.
And what do women do?
What? Shaitel. I'll schlep them out of Gehenna with the shait, by the shaitel.
No.
No, not a shaitel come out. No. Tichel, right? Interesting. Look at source number 8. That's very strange. Source number 8 is very strange. The Hilchas Tanya Shulchan Aruch. Okay, source number 8.
What is tikkun?
1 second. Tila Sheish Brochot Jumosid, yeah. The neshama doesn't have payot, right? You're right. Neshama doesn't have payot, right? But this is what he said. His Hasidim said he said that. I wasn't there, Avram, but his Hasidim said he said that. So that's a good publicity. It's we get 40,000 people coming, right?
What is Simon?
My Rosh Yeshiva from the Asper Yeshiva, Mordechai Goldstein Zeichet Tzadik Levracha, told me about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, he took me to a place on Har Zion. And he says that the Breslaver approached him. They want to remove the body from Uman. And Rav Goldstein had a place on Har Zion, Avram, a kever ready. But the Ukrainian government would not allow the body out. It's a meal ticket for them.
It supports
They make
the
millions
city
of dollars. It boasts the whole city. These
The whole
peasants
year.
live all year from these few days. So the Breslov in Shalayim approached Rav Goldstein Zatzal. He showed me the place on Har Zion that a grave prepared to extradite or exhume the body. But the Ukrainian government said, forget about it. There's no way they're releasing the body because it's their meal ticket.
But if they will stop coming, then they would have to.
Then would have to. Okay? But strange. Let's source number 8, where it's underlined. You have that? Shemispalim yotzim kol ha'am likbet hakvara tabochim shachanim misham. So here the Shulchan Aruch gives another reason. Why is there a custom on a fast day to go to the grave of a tzaddik? Because a person that's a rasha and he doesn't do tshuva, he's like what? Dead. I think it's called the Night of the Living Dead. The Gemara says, Rishoyim af b'chayeyem kruyim meitim. A rasha, even when he's alive, Avraham is what? He's dead. A lot of zombies out there. Nebuch. A Russia is like Night of the Living Dead. Remember that movie, Avraham? So he's the Shulchan Aruch is another reason. When you go to the grave of a tzaddik, it's mit'oreh l'tshuva that if you don't do tshuva, you're like dead. And therefore we make a strange bracha, Rabbi Yaakov. We make Mechaya HaMeitim. Baruch Ato Hashem Mechaya HaMeitim. Who knows Hebrew? You know Hebrew good, right? That's the proper bracha.
For what?
We make the bracha 3 times a day. Baruch Ato Hashem Mechaya HaMeitim.
On a fast day?
No, we daven Shmon Esrei. Baruch Ato Hashem Mechaya HaMeitim. Right? 3 times a day, Avraham. Is that proper grammar? One of the Ani Mamins is Meitim Yechaya El Barov Chazdo Baruch Hadeyat Shem Tehilaso. I will not give up my day job. Meitim Yechaya El Barov Chazdo. Meitim Yechaya El. In the end of time, God will resurrect the dead. So Ira, the bracha should be Baruch Atu Hashem Lachayot Meitim. Right? Lachayot Meitim. Dr. Hackett, why do you make the bracha Mechaya HaMeitim? He's not doing it now. Why do you say he resurrects the dead now when he's not doing it now? The Ani Mamin is Meitim Yechaya El. Lashon Atid, it's not happening now. The end of time it'll happen. But now it's not happening, so the bracha should be, Dr. Hackett, Lachayot Meitim. Why you say Mechaya Meitim? How do you say Lashon Hoveh in English? In the present. Right, Ilana? Everyone about 3 times a day. What are we saying? Change the text. Lachayot Meitim. He will resurrect the dead. He's not doing it now.
Right. Because if we don't have faith now that he's going to...
So why are you saying it now? He's resurrecting the dead now. I gave you why. Because a Russia is dead. A Russia is a walking dead. And every time we do tshuva, Mechaya Meitim. I think it's called born again. Born again. Every time you do tshuva, God resurrects you. Chanoch. Therefore, you make the bracha Mechaya Meitim in the present and not Lachyot Meitim in the future. Because every time you do a sin, you die spiritually. Fate worse than death is to die spiritually. So you do tshuva, Mechaya HaMeitim. God is resurrecting me now. It's now or never. You had a question, Reb Shalom? What?
Make sure you don't make a bracha at all.
Every morning we get up, it's
Tchiyat HaMesim, it's a form of it. It's a form of it, because the Gemara Bracha says that death is 1/60th, sleep is 1/60th of what? Of death. But, right? But Mechaya Meitim, that's the reason. Every time you do an Aveira, you die spiritually. Right? Now, this fits in with the Pasha we read yesterday. Yaakov Avinu says to Yosef, now I can die peacefully that I've seen your face. First time I ever saw your face. Now the word face seems to be redundant. Now I see you, I can die. Why does he have to add the word Chanoch, face? He's not looking at his shoulder, he's looking at his foot. I've seen you, I can die in peace. Why does he have to mention face?
It's a relationship.
Isn't the word face, how do you say in Italian, superfluous?
Superfluous.
You don't need the word panecha there, Avram. Every word in the Torah is counted. After I've seen you, I can die in peace. Why add the word panecha? I'm glad you asked. He was mourning for his son 22 years. Rashi says why? Because a person that's alive and you think he's dead, you never stop mourning for him. A dead person's forgotten after 12 months. Come on, brachas. It's a chesed habore. But a person that you think is dead but is really alive, you never stop mourning for him. So the very fact that Yaakov couldn't stop mourning for Yosef, didn't that prove what, Rabbi Yosef? Rashi, Yaakov Avinu learned Kol Torah Kula and Shem Ve'ever in 14 years. Beryl, he skipped this Rashi? Ayala. You learn Kol Torah Kula. It's not a Rashi, it's a Bereshis Rabbah. That a dead person, the very fact that you cannot stop mourning is a raya is not really dead. So Yaakov knew that. What else was he studying in Shem Ve'ever for 14 years? So you understand the problem? What are you mourning for? The very fact that you continue to mourn after 22 years is a raya that your son is not dead. So the moral explains as follows. Yaakov knew that Yosef was alive physically. How did he know? He knew this Rashi. Bereshis Rabbah. It's not a Rashi, Avram. That a dead person, you think he's alive. No, you think he's dead. But he's alive, you never stop mourning for him. So Yaakov knew that he was alive physically. But the moral says there's a fate worse than death. There's a fate worse than death. Yosef was a very good-looking boy, 70-year-old teenager. He gets sold to Egypt. Egypt made Las Vegas look like a kindergarten. What's a good-looking boy doing in
And a Jewish boy.
A Jewish good-looking boy in the red light district maybe became a Saturday Night Fever boy, a disco boy, with his good looks and his moves. Remember? Night fever. That's a fate worse than death. That's what he was afraid. But Panecha, I've seen your face. The Riyah Kodesh says that the eyes are the windows to the soul. I looked into your face. Yosef, you're still alive. Not physically, I always knew that. The fact I couldn't stop mourning for you, I knew you're physically alive. But I thought Nebuch, you died spiritually. But now I've seen your face. I've seen your eyes, the window of the soul. You're still Yosef a Tzadik. I can die peacefully. Otherwise, the word Panecha, Malka, is superfluous. Or superfluous. Isn't that amazing? The Riyah Kodesh. People would, when they walked in front of the Yari, they would go like this. Because they were afraid that he would look at their face and he would say, shame on you. I knew what you did last night. So the Chaim Vital writes that some people walk in front of the Yari, they would cover their face. He had X-ray vision. The windows to the soul, Avram, is your face. Remember that song? The first time I ever saw your face. See that? They got everything from us. But anyway, let's look at source number 8 is very weird. Yehuda, this is a weird one. Source number 8, Hilchas Tanit. Okay? So he says over here, you go to the grave because it's the ma'oirer, how do you say, it wakes you up to do tshuva, that harayat meitim kiluheim. If you don't do tshuva, you're like living dead. Look at the Ramah in parentheses. It's underlined. You have it, Ayala. Ulefizeh, what does it say next? Ulefizeh, source number 8. Im ein kivrei Yisrael, if there's no Jewish graves to go to, what? Ayala, can you read that? Holchim al Kivrei Nachrim. Kivrei Nachrim. Hello? Harold, I don't understand this. Strange Ramah. Because if going to the grave is to be Ma'orah to Tshuva, so if there's no Kivrei Yisrael, then on Antanis you should go to what? Kivrei Nachrim. You understand this, Chanoch? Even to go to grave of what? Of a dead non-Jew. Because the purpose is to arouse the person that what? To remind the person of his own mortality. And a dead non-Jew, Zisel, can do the same trick. So a stranger, I don't know anybody who does that. You go to the grave of a non-Jew on a fast day. The Ramah says there's no kivrei Yisrael, holchem al kivrei nochrim, to be ordered to do tshuva. So what do? Rabbi Yaakov Meir, you go to the grave of Carlo Gambino. I don't know, what? Better you go in the red, in the red, right?
Maybe Schindler who saved Jews.
That's right, he's buried in Mount Zion.
Oh, really?
He's buried in Har Zion. Yeah. We have the schus, yeah. He saved, how many Jews did he save? And today there's thousands of descendants because of one person. Now look at source number 9, the Mishnah Berurah, Rabbi. You see that? Yes? What? The purpose of the grave is... Right.
Isn't the grave of a Rasha going to do the same?
So that's the point. Very good, Danny. That's the point of the Ramah. The same is accomplished by the grave of a non-Jew. If you remind you of mortality, a dead non-Jew will do the trick too.
But the grave of a Rasha, which we said earlier, you don't go to the grave of a shame.
But he's the grave of a Rasha, you shouldn't know. So you don't go to the grave of Carlo Gambino or Arafat. A righteous guy, like Schindler, like Malka said. You go to Schindler.
Farrakhan, Big Karov.
Farrakhan.
Big Karov.
My brother was grave today.
Right.
My brother was grave today.
Yeah. Yeah. But look at source number 9. You have that? Source number 9. Mishnah Berurah, footnote Yudalit, Kivrei Kutim. Even go to the grave of a guy. You see, source number 9, Yehuda, Kivrei Kutim, footnote Yudalit, Mishnah Berurah. I am Mogan Avon Shekosav, Liti Tan Shashayna Megamara, Kidei Shivik Vakshu Amesim Oleni Rachamim. But if the reason is that the dead person should intercede for God, Ein Leilach Kivrei Kutim, then you don't go to the grave of a guy, because a guy cannot intercede for you. Uprat lefi nusach shalanu sh'amim be'erev Hashoshana ve'erev Yom Kippur abotei kvorot bevadei tzorach dafke kivrei Yisrael. Here, Mishnah Berurah says no. You should only go to the. He disagrees with the Ramah. You should only go dafke what to the grave of what of a Jew. Ulavat kolzeh. Besides that, how could you go to a non-Jewish grave? Says the Mishnah Berurah. If a state nicht how you say it doesn't understand the Ramah. In the grave of a dead guy, that Salem's over there. There's the virgin, the whole scene there, right? The mama with all the virgins there.
The whole
what's it called? All the getchkes over there. So how could you go there? So the Mishnah Berurah says it doesn't understand the Ramah. You should only dafke go to what? To the kever of a Jew. And a righteous Jew is that, but not to the kever of a goy. In this week's parsha, Yaakov tells Yosef, "Please bury me the Morat HaMachpelah." And Rashi quotes Chazal, "And I didn't do the same thing for your mother. I left her on the side of the road, right in Potter's Field." And I know, Yaakov, you have a kapeda. Yosef, you have a kapeda against me. How do you say a kapeda? A bai's hearts. You have a complaint. But you should know I didn't disrespect your mother. Perhaps that's one reason, Ilana, why Yosef never contacted his father all those years. Because he felt that his father didn't give his mother a proper Bekovadika funeral. He buried her in a no man's land outside of Bethlehem. But Yaakov says to Yosef, it was not my idea. I didn't disrespect your ma, like you accuse me of. Hashem told me to bury her on this lonely road. Because when he didn't go into Galut, when the Buzaraten derives the chief butcher of the Buchanetzar, Sor B'Tevis is coming up. By the way, this Tuesday, Sor B'Tevis, we have a special shiur at 10 minutes to 3 here, of why God creates evil. That's Tuesday, Asur B'Tevis, 10 minutes to 3. You're invited to come. Why God creates evil? Why does God allow the terrorists to kill innocent 3-day-old baby? What's the plan? That's Tuesday, 10 minutes to 3 here for Asur B'Tevis. But where was I? So it's Hashem's plan that when the Jews go into exile, they're gonna what? they're going to pass Rachel's grave, right? And Rachel will come out of her grave and be mispalel for the Jewish people. So therefore I buried her there. I don't understand this Rashi. What do you mean Rachel will come out of her grave? Isn't Rachel in the lechtige Gan Eden? Rabbi Yaakov. What does Rashi mean? Rachel will come out of her grave when the Jews pass by on their way to Babylon, and she'll be mispalel for them. But why is Rachel in her grave, Harold? Isn't Rachel in the lechtige Gan Eden?
But the Jews will need a grave when they are passing, and they will...
But Rashi quotes the Medrash, Rachel will come out of her grave.
But soldiers report that actually this Arab woman came and said to them, go back, you're walking into an ambush.
But is a tzaddik in the grave?
Who was this?
Only the body dies. The neshama is an olam haba. What's going on? What's going on? Chanoch, help me here. It's a strange Rashi.
It's like the Shechina.
Rachel's in her grave?
It says that the Shechina went out.
No.
Also, it's the same with the Neshama of Rachel is like the Shechina. No. So she goes with them. She's accompanying them.
But it says she comes out of her grave.
So she did.
Soldiers
have said that they met a woman.
So what's the answer? The answer is another reason. You go to the grave. The neshama is in lechtige Gan Eden. But when you go to a tzaddik's grave, you're sending the tzaddik an SMS. The tzaddik is reunited with the boss. He couldn't care less what's going on here. But when you go to a tzaddik's grave, Connie, you're sending him a WhatsApp or an SMS, please tune in. So Rachel's in Gan Eden. But when the Jews passed her grave, they what? They sent her I say telegram because I'm a dinosaur. But today we would say what? An SMS, a WhatsApp. So this signals the neshama to what? To come down. To tune in. That's what it means. Because the neshama lechtige Gan Eden. But when we visit a tzaddik's grave, it makes the tzaddik tune in. Otherwise, he's what? He's up there. Not so concerned what's going down here, right?
Yes, but the people that are passing the grave are inspired to speak.
And they dive in, and this summons in the neshama. What's your name? What? I know. What's your name? Yehudit. It summons the neshama down. Now, remember, Rapam Zatzal said something incredible. Otherwise, I wouldn't say this. He said, "Is there a comedy hour in Gan Eden? Is there a comedy hour in Gan Eden?" He says, the neshama is in lechtige Gan Eden, reunited with the source of Kodesh Baruch Hu. But he said, perhaps 1 hour a day, Kodesh Baruch Hu lets them tune in and see how petty we are, how we fight over the most stupid things. We get excited and aggravated over such stupid things, and how they're laughing. This is what you're getting angry about. It's so petty. It's so meaningless. People blow up and they say words to each other over nonsense. So the neshamas must be having a good laugh, he said. What are we fighting over? So my Rebbe said, instead of getting angry, laugh. Laugh. It's ridiculous. Right? Laugh. Because the neshamas are laughing. This is what you're fighting over. So nonsensical. It makes no sense when you're looking from the hashkafa of what immortality, right? You got to have an out of body experience. What are we fighting about, really? What are we really fighting about? Before we end, we still have just want to end with this. The Torah goes into so many psukim about the family feud of Yosef and the brothers. What's the message? Every family has feuds. Torah is not history, Torah GPA. Every family fights. It's natural. But the Torah gives me how to resolve the conflict. Yehuda and Yosef, they were the chief antagonists, but they showed us how we can reconcile and resolve the family feud. Yehuda means to admit. The name Yehuda means to admit. Admit that I'm wrong. And Yosef never once plays the blame game. He could have blamed and blamed and blamed. Not once does he blame them. So every family fights. It's only natural. The Torah writes it to give me the GPS. But to get out of the conflict, follow Yehuda and Yosef. They were the two antagonists. Yehuda means to admit I was wrong and not ashamed to say it. And Yosef, the other side, even though you were right and I was wrong, don't blame. Don't blame. Yosef could have blamed, but he never blamed them once. So this is the resolution to the conflict. Admit that you're wrong and do not engage in the blame game.